Hello, Untamed television fans. It's your host, Craig Bielik, here today with Stephanie Norton-Bradle from the YMCA. We're going to talk diabetes. Is that right? That's what we're going to talk.
Diabetes prevention.
Diabetes prevention, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a big subject, a very big subject. And it's getting more common every day. We're starting to see a rise in diabetes cases. I'll let you speak to that.
Sure.
But introduce yourself a little bit to our audience. Tell us, where you're from, what kind of, I don't know, brag about yourself. Give us your qualifications and all of those sorts of things.
I actually just moved to Utah a couple of years ago. I worked
welcome.
Thank you. I worked for Seattle, the Seattle YMCA, and have worked with the Diabetes Prevention Program, YUSA's Diabetes Prevention Program, for about 6 years now.
Yeah.
And when I was back in Seattle, we piloted the Diabetes Prevention Program, and I became a YUSA master trainer, so I go around the country and I help train other staff to be able to deliver the program, and was able to launch it here in Utah just last year.
That's great. That's great. So you came from Seattle, brought some knowledge that you had acquired there, and you came into Utah. How different is Utah from Seattle when it comes to diabetes?
Well, Utah generally is a healthier state, so there's the numbers for diabetes and risk for diabetes, obesity are better than they are in other states, but it's also rising in Utah. So right now, the American Diabetes Association says that about 32% of adults in Utah are pre-diabetic.
Wow.
Yeah.
To me, that seems really high. And if we're below the national average, way to go, Utah, but still, that seems to be too much.
Yes. And the good thing about being in that pre-diabetic stage is that you can do something about it. So most people who fall into that pre-diabetic stage are either overweight, maybe they're inactive, they're getting older. We're all more at risk as we get older, and or they have elevated blood sugars. And for a lot of us, those are things we can do something about.
Okay, how do you know if you're in a pre-diabetic state? Is that something a doctor needs to diagnose, or can you just kind of, I don't know, look in the mirror one morning and go, Craig, you look pretty pre-diabetic? I mean, how do you know these things?
Well, that's a good question, because a lot of Americans are pre-diabetic and they don't know. The best way to know is to go see your healthcare practitioner and have a blood test, and blood values can be an indicator of whether or not you're pre-diabetic. But we also, if they contact us at the YMCA, we can go through a risk assessment with them, and through that risk assessment, they can determine if they might be at risk for diabetes.
Okay, can you do that over the phone? You need to come in?
No, we can do it over the phone or send them a copy of the risk assessment. It's really quick. It's also on our website, or they can even go to the CDC and do the same risk assessment.
Right. So you mentioned a couple of the obvious sort of risk factors: your weight, your activity, your exercising, your diet. There's also kind of some genetic predisposition and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you are more at risk as you get older. So as there's nothing we can do about that. Some of us do have family history, but those two things don't influence your likelihood of getting diabetes as much as lifestyle factors do.
Okay, so some of us are older. Some of us have a history of diabetes in the family.
Right.
Some of us are not exactly overweight and pretty active, that sort of thing. How often should someone like myself, or basically anybody out there watching, how often should someone be screened by a doctor for this?
Well, I'm not a healthcare professional, so I'm not really
You're not? Oh, that's it. Out you go.
Answering that question, but we do recommend, if people are concerned about their risk of diabetes, that they see a healthcare professional about it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've heard the basic rule of thumb that you should get a blood test and a physical every year. That's probably a good idea, and if you can do it and you have insurance and resources, you definitely should, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I find out that I'm pre-diabetic. What's next?
Well, Luckily, or hopefully, your doctor will hand you a flyer about the YMCA's diabetes prevention program. But if that doesn't happen, you can call us, you can send us an email, and we'd love to talk to you about the program. And essentially, our program is a CDC-approved National Diabetes Prevention Program. There's a couple of different curriculum out there. The YMCA happens to have one of their own. We do it in 47 states across the country now. Wow. And the Y's been doing it for about 8 or 9 years now across the country. So it's very well documented. We have lots of data to show that it's effective. But U of U also has a program. McKay in Salt Lake, or not McKay, but IHC in Salt Lake has a program. So there are some other nationally approved diabetes prevention programs out there. We have one of them. And our curriculum is based on the National Diabetes Curriculum. And so a lot of what we do in our classes are very similar. Ours is a year long, and we work with a small group of individuals. A lifestyle coach coaches them once a week for 16 weeks and then once a month for the rest of the year.
Wow. A whole year-long program then. That's fantastic. So you can't really do anything about your age.
No.
You can't do anything about your genetic makeup, that sort of thing. So the things you can control are your weight, your activity, and your diet.
Exactly.
Okay? The 3 easy things. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. How do you get started with, teaching someone to change their diet? That's a pretty tough thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. And that's one of the things we do right at the beginning is acknowledge how hard it is and that they've taken a big step just coming to the first session. We really are there to coach people through lifestyle change. It's not a diet program. It's not an exercise program. We are coaching them to help them make better lifestyle choices. And we encourage physical activity. We encourage them counting their fat grams. But how they do it, the methods they choose, how they go about their day-to-day, every day, has to fit into their life. And so we coach them into how does this work for you? How do we make this work with your busy life? How do we make this work if you have to go out to eat? How can we make this work with your lifestyle?
Right. Did you guys know this? Did you know the YMCA does this? I'll bet. YMCA is not as well known in Utah as it is probably in other markets like Seattle, for a number of reasons, those sorts of things. But I think most people think that the YMCA is a place where you go to swim or you play basketball or something like that. Did you know that they do diabetes coaching? How can they find out about this? Phone number, website? Lay it on us.
YMCA Utah /diabetes prevention. That's one way. They can give us a call, go to our website, give us a call, and we're happy to help them answer their questions, get them registered.
Right, and you should do it. If you're watching out there and you feel like you may be pre-diabetic or maybe you've even been told that, call the YMCA, call Stephanie. Will you answer the phone actually yourself, Stephanie?
Yeah, I will actually.
Stephanie, call
my phone number is on the flyers.
Call and ask for Stephanie because she's such a nice person. Really, I've just met her, but I think she's great. I'm going to call her tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm going to call her. YMCA, thank you for being with us today, Stephanie, and thank you for helping people with pre-diabetes or diabetes and that kind of stuff. You guys give her a call. Give the Y a call anyway. Go to their website. Find out what the Y is all about. You need to know why. That sounds that should be a slogan. You need to know why. And thank you for joining Untamed TV.
Untamed TV. Untamed.